All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 527 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am Via Balla. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. Not much going on the Georgia Southern front. It's been pretty quiet over there, and the Falcons actually been quiet as well. So it's not much to really talk about, but I do want to explain why I think the Falcons keep it quiet and why that is a great thing. That is one of the best things that we have when you are in the situation with this GM and head coach. It's very vital to be that way. And I want you guys to understand what these guys are doing are I would say what they're doing is very unique to this franchise, in my opinion. And it's also very special because what these guys are trying to do, they're trying to build a championship atmosphere with the Falcons. I mean, we were so close when we played the Patriots way back, and we understood what it took to get there. All the contracts that we signed there, but I think we're doing it a different way now. I know we're doing it a different way. And we're doing it in a way that nobody, that really talks about the Falcons understand. I want to talk about that as well. So we're going to get an all to that. If this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. You can listen to the podcast at your leisure. That will be phenomenal if you decide to go either way, either avenue. I want to thank everybody who has been supporting the show lately. You guys have been absolutely amazing. The numbers have been moving up. The viewership has been moving up. And it's all thanks to you guys. I am a one-man show. I do all this by myself. And, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm just letting you know it is hard to run this and do the Discord and turn around and do my other YouTube channel. And in the process, I am moving. If you see all this stuff back here, it is wild in this room, but we're in the process of moving back to the state of Georgia. So it's a lot going on, and I thank you guys for being patient and continued support. I can't thank you guys enough. This show is also brought to you by BetUS. Click that link down in the description if you want to put wagers on any type of sports event, even esports, NFL, MMA, college basketball. You got the NBA, all the stuff going on, especially with how things are shifting now with Kyrie Irving moving to the Mavs. It's going to be a lot to talk about and a lot of wagers that you can put down on certain games going forward. So click that link down, put down $100, get a 125% bet book bonus. It helps out the show, and hopefully you can double, triple, even quadruple your money. All the other links are down in the description if you want to support the show, whether it be through CashApp and or PayPal. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys very much just for tuning in and or the support. It really means a lot. It really does. All right, let's go ahead and get into this because I've said enough already. The Atlanta Falcons are keeping quiet with everything, and it's really a good thing. There's a lot of speculation going on about who's going to be where, and all this other stuff, and a lot of the stuff is entertaining. It is a lot of filler for the offseason. But one thing I like to move in some sort of, I'll say, logic, some type of sensible reporting. And, and I think those type of things are very vital when you're trying to get information about your team. It's okay to understand if there's nothing going on with the team. It's okay. And that's where your honest opinions about what is going on, even the lack thereof, comes into play. Because I feel like if you love this team, if you love the teams that you root for, you will put out really, I would say really honest opinions about how you feel about the team. And I always say, I think this team is going in the right direction. I think it really is. And I hear some rumblings about what's going on here, what's going on there, but some of the stuff don't make sense and it don't line up to what these guys have already said. Sometimes you have to take what they've said, and pretty much one of the last things they really said was the things that they were talking about during the last press conference, which I did an episode on that. And does it line up with what they're doing now? Does it line up with what they did at the Shrine Bowl? What does it line up based on what this team actually needs? Because there's a lot of reports like the Lamar Jackson situation. I haven't heard stuff about Aaron Rodgers. I heard about Bijan Robinson out of Texas, and I'm looking at what's being reported and what these guys, the last thing they said, and what they're trying to do to build this team. And I'm sitting there thinking like, I don't know about that. I just don't know. It's just my thing is it doesn't jive with what they've been trying to build for the past 2 years. When you're trying to bring in veterans to this team, they're going to bring veterans that they really feel that can help this team, and it also that can be able to help this team go further into the future. So you're going to bring in veterans that has like they have like some type of tread still on that tire. I'm gonna be honest with you. These guys I believe that they want to win now, but they want to win under their terms. They're not trying to win just by trying to get the best person that they feel like they can like really do some things with, but it's going to hurt them financially. So they've always tried to have that balance. This is why you saw a lot of 1-year deals. One, because they couldn't afford a lot of guys, but the ones that they did get, these were like really good assets. I mean, pretty much every free agent move outside of the Damian Williams pickup, because he was hurt, most of them kind of panned out. They really did, fairly well. They weren't like detriment to the team or anything that fell off. But you also have to understand there's a lot of turnover. So what's going on with the team, you are not going to get like, we're going to go into the playoffs and go on a deep playoff run. But they were always on the cusp of at least making the playoffs at some point both seasons. And that alone is actually impressive with what they were working with. Now, when you look at what's going on now, just like I said, that philosophy that they've been doing the last 2 years, they're still bringing that on. And you hear all these rumblings about all these other things. There's one thing that I saw that was on SI.com. I may put the link down in the description so you can read it, and maybe you'll take it for what it is. There's an article out there about this cornerback that the Falcons really like, quote unquote. I don't know who said this or whatever it is, but Nehemiah Shelton from San Jose State is a cornerback that Terry Fontenot and I guess you could say Arthur Smith and even our new defensive coordinator must be really like. And I read this article and it kind of made sense because, one, even though Casey Hayward's probably going to be coming back, we do need a number 2 cornerback. I don't know how well Casey Hayward's going to be, but you cannot pass up on a guy like this. The reason why I say that, during the season when he played against USC, there was one cornerback that gave him trouble, gave Drake London trouble, was Nehemiah Shelton. You have to understand that the season that Drake London had, dude was on pace to like do some great things. It's like in 7 games, dude had like, I gotta look it up. I think like in 7 games before he messed his ankle up, he had like 80 something catches. I want to say that. Let me see real quick. Hold on one second. I'm pulling it up. I want you guys to really. Let's see. Where is it? If read full bio 2021. Right here, it says that right here in 8 games. In 8 games, he had 88 catches for 1,084 yards plus 7 touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown. Now, during that season, he had one player that gave him trouble, which was Nehemiah Shelton. So this is, this is one person that I know that these guys are going to be looking at. Because if you're able to do that to Drake London, even though Drake London had a pretty good season as a rookie, 72 catches, which should have been more, but we're not going to go into the whole quarterback situation. Not going to do that. But if you got a guy who can stop Drake London and already have familiarity with Drake London and knowing that he could be a guy that could pretty much play cornerback in the league, this might be a really good pick. Now, also I want to talk about, he was at the East and West Shrine Bowl, which I talked about that in the last episode. The one A few players that I like that was coming out. I did like quarterback Tanner, even though he threw a pick. He did look all right. The wide receiver Nagata from Clemson looked pretty good. Michael Jefferson was another one. Wide receiver out of UL. I watched him play against Georgia Southern, so he looked pretty good as well. Couple of running backs too. But I did look at a little bit of Nehemiah Shelton, and he was named the top cornerback by the evaluators. You know, he did really good in practice and in team meetings. He stood out in the game. He had an interception. So this is a guy that I would not be surprised if they actually go after him in the second or third round. Because when you make an impact at the Shrine Bowl, your draft stock is going to go up. Somebody may try to snatch him. So this is the only thing I would want to say about these guys that are not necessarily being quiet about, because it makes sense based on everything that they've been doing from the press conference at the end of the season, the Shrine Bowl, knowing that we need somebody or need some bodies. We're going to be scouting players at the Shrine Bowl. You turn around and say, hey, even though Casey Hayward, AJ Terrell, we're going to have some good guys still in that secondary, you can't have enough cornerbacks. You just can't. And if you can get this guy at a pretty good deal, because you don't hear too much about too many cornerbacks. You hear about Joey Porter Jr., hear about a couple of other ones, but you don't hear much about Nehemiah Sheldon. But this just goes back to great scouting. You got to understand, nobody really listened or think about Troy Anderson when he was picked up. Nobody really talked about Tyler Algier. I knew about Tyler Algier because he played against my Georgia Southern Eagles in that in his last season. And dude was a beast. They came down to Paulson and did it. I mean, we played fairly well against them, you know, but he was pretty good in that game. And I'm so glad that he's a Falcon. You know, you look at these other players that we don't know much about until they actually hit the field. It's good scouting. You know, so, I mean, outside of what? I will say Mayfield and maybe Frank Darby, we may have missed out on. And to be honest, I think Frank Darby still has a potential to do something. You know, he don't look bad. It's just for some reason he just never could stay on the field for some reason, injury or otherwise. But I think we can still have something. I think Mayfield is done. I think that Mayfield has already legitimized itself as a good backup for his career. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I just think he never was able to catch on as a top guard in the league. And so, yeah, I think he should be on a roster spot, but I don't think he's I think he'll be a good, you know, guy on the team. Put him in for a few games or put him in for a few series. He may be able to do a couple of things, but I think that ship is pretty much sailed on a former, fourth round pick. But these are the things that we're talking about, why they keep things quiet. This makes sense, and this didn't even come out of the Falcons camp, so I don't know if this is actually the real deal. But when you look at everything, like I said, that was lined up prior, when you look at the whole situation with what they said at the press conference, once again, to the Shrine Bowl, and what they got out of the Shrine Bowl, this player seems like somebody that they will pick up. I would not be surprised if nobody else is really looking at him, because I don't know what other scouts that were there. I would not be surprised if you start seeing this guy, his stock rise up, or you may see him get picked second, third, fourth, or fifth round. And you'd be like, oh man, what is that? Hey man, this is a guy that they've been looking at. This is what the Falcons have been doing. So this is more of a thing that you have to really think about when you are, this is one thing you have to really think about when you're really looking at the team. Like I said, I talked about earlier, it's cool to have conversations about certain players or whatever the case may be. And sometimes it may be really slow. It's a quiet part of the offseason. There could be times that there's just not anything to go by. But when you look at what is transpired and you take the little tidbits and you actually pay attention to what this front office says, you start seeing things lining up. And it may not be content creating worthy. It may not be really big for a soundbite or big for your Twitter posts. But you got to understand, these guys are really savvy when it comes to putting things together when they want to, put this football team together. You also have the also understand as well. There's other interviews that he's had with the Falcons organization, with the Falcon Report. So that you always got to put those tidbits together as far as what also you got to put things together based on what you have to work with. A lot of us don't know exactly. A lot of us don't know exactly what we have with this team. Still don't know. I mean, I'm one. I don't know. But I just watch and I try to take every little thing that comes up with this team from the team and hold on to that. Sometimes I just take notes and keep things posted. So when it doubles back and be like, oh yeah, remember that? Remember this? You know what I mean? This is one of the reasons why I was listening to all the things they said about Desmond Ridder in the offseason. Not in the offseason, yeah, throughout the season, I mean. And they felt like he was ready, but they didn't want to put him out there. Do I agree with that? No, not really, but it felt like he was ready. I think the quarterback coach did an interview. I did an episode about that, and we went through what they said. And for all intents and purposes, he said he was ready, but when he actually got his chance, Desmond Ridder looked pretty good. He didn't look bad. He had some jitters or whatever the case may be, but turned out to be pretty solid. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for from that situation. But we need to see a big jump from this season to the upcoming season. And with all the moves that they're doing, all the things we know about, all the things that we don't know about, the things they're talking about, the things they're not talking about, it all need to come to fruition because we overachieved the last 2 seasons, believe it or not. We overachieved. We had no business winning 7 games, both times. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but it's the truth. But when we look at what's going on here, and you looking at, Nehemiah Shelton could be a Falcon based on what they've been scouting. I mean, he has the size and everything, 6'1", 186. He has long arms. He looked like he can move a little bit. Gave Drake London some problems in college. Still looking good throughout the Shrine Bowl. It would be nice to have him in a uniform, but we'll have to see. Nevertheless, the Falcons are going to continue to do what they do. And for all intents and purposes, like I said, it looked like it's a pretty good thing. It looks like they're on the up and up. I don't see no downfall. I get it with all the other conversations we have. I don't believe any of that until I actually see it or when I hear more about it. And then that's when I start commentating on it. There's no concrete evidence to say that they're going to be going after these other players I mentioned. We all talked about the Lamar Jacksons of the world. That was a real possibility at one point, and it makes sense. But after what I've heard and after what I've seen, I don't think that's going to be the case. Aaron Rodgers, no. No, I don't see that. Bijan Robinson, it would be nice to have a second running back. I won't lie. It would be nice to have a second running back there. Another rookie running back. We have Tyler Algier. Don't forget about Caleb Huntley. Maybe he be re-signed, and Cordell Patterson. Maybe we'll run that 3-headed monster for one more time until the following season, and we may go look for a second running back. But if anything, if you really want my opinion when it comes to running backs, I would love that running back that can come out the backfield and catch the ball. I believe that we probably missed the ball on James Cook, but when he went to Buffalo, I thought that was somebody that we could have picked up at the time, but that's a whole other story for another day. But we do need a running back that comes out of the backfield and catch the ball. I think that would be really good. I know Tyler Algier does pretty good at it. That dude's a thumper. All right, I said enough. I really did. I said enough. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think, man. Do you think the Falcons, do they keep it quiet? Do they keep it too quiet? I think that's a great thing because we don't need to know much, but there is something that's coming out with this whole situation with Nehemiah Shelton. It makes a lot of sense. Let me know what you guys think about that. Also, do you think they should be more vocal? Just let me know. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. Click that link down in the description if you want to put some wagers on some games. Bet US, put $100 down, get 125% bet book bonus. Also, if you want to support the show, CashApp is at VFBaller20. Also, the PayPal link is down in the description as well. Join the Discord if you want to talk more Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons football. The conversation never stops. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, where I talk about things that don't necessarily make it to the show. And we'll leave it there. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you guys on the next one. Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. Peace.